Welcome to another day of the closed qualifier broadcast for the FISSURE Playground 1 Dota tournament here. It is, of course, presented by FISSURE. We've got the official stream ready to go here for the action. Denog, how we doing? Excited for another day of Dota?
Always, you know me. I love watching Dota, I love casting Dota, I love playing Dota, but these guys might play Dota just a little bit better than me, although it is the lower bracket today. So, these are teams that unfortunately weren't able to get through with a win in their series in the upper bracket. Most surprisingly, you would have to imagine, is 1W team going down. They only got the 1W against 4 Pirates, going down 2-1 after a pretty dominant Game 1 performance.
Yes, it was dominant indeed, but unfortunately the other games, not so much as in regards to everyone else. So we see the 2-0 through the bracket. So yeah, there was some pretty quick, well, in fact, very quick games. I mean, Liga, 25-minute victory, 16-minute victory. Chimera had a 31-minute, 22-minute victory. So besides the first series, honestly, all the rest of the series and the games were very one-sided.
They were indeed, and the positive side is I just want to highlight the Chimera team. It's fitting with the name. You've got people that just come from everywhere and try and make it work in a new stack. TA2000, Lorinov, they've had little stints in Southeast Asia. Dahak, of course, he feels like the journeyman of Dota, and then 1J and Pantomim, the Belarusian duo, just coming through. And Dahak did get to play his signature Visage this time around from the offlane, not really flexing it to be that position 1, even though he is the position 3 of the team. So happy to see that he's still got the chops to be able to do it. A little surprised that teams are letting him play his by far most played hero though. So I wonder if that's going to change today.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find out. But like you said, that is towards the later stages of the day, right? We got the lower bracket, and then moving into the upper bracket, we're gonna get to see what the schedule looks like as well visually for everyone. And like we were saying, so 1 win versus 1 move first up, and then Namiga versus Hydra. Those two are the lower bracket. 2 teams unfortunately going to be eliminated, but it must be done because we only have 1 team that is going to be moving over to play in front of that live event in Serbia. And then to close out the day, we've got 4 Pirates Pandas, and then Chimera versus Liga. Very excited for how the top side is going to look in regards to the upper bracket. We'll see. It's going to be hopefully a good day to do it. Hopefully a little bit more close games.
Yeah, and I wonder how this first series is going to go in particular, right? 1 win versus 1 move, which one is going to be better? You'd have to imagine 1W have a lot to prove after yesterday's series, right? Like, they wouldn't have been expecting to be down in the lower bracket this early into the tournament. Second round, maybe, going up against 9 Pandas, you could have understood, dropping down. They are a very, significant team that has been at the very tops of Dota. 4 Pirates, not really. They shouldn't have even been in these qualifiers, right? They had to come through the last chance to be able to get the spot there, but they earned their way through as a result of that last chance, and they got the W. So good on them to be able to still have that double chance and see if they can replicate another really good performance in the third series today against 9 Pandas.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Capitalizing that opportunity, right, is the big thing for them, where it's just going to be a question of if they can go up against the other team that was able to be victorious. But let's take a look a little bit deeper into this first series, because we had the opportunity, in fact, to cover both these 2 teams in their defeat. We saw 1W all 3 games. Dulrays was playing the Lina. Game 1 looked good. Game 2, Game 3, we weren't. Well, Game 2 got pretty heavily countered by the Spectre and the Lion, right? Game 3 felt like a much freer Lina game, and we just weren't able to see we just didn't see the door raise that we saw in Game 1, where it was like plus 15 kills, controlling the map, doing everything on that hero. Of course, there were a lot of other things for the boys on 1W as well, but what do you feel like, what were you impressed by from them that you would like to see them do again?
I mean, I really liked their draft in game number 1. I'd say that's probably the big thing that set it apart. Games 2 and 3, they were kind of lost in the draft, right? Game 2, like we were saying, they didn't really have any ways to initiate other than the Magnus that they were playing around. Cloud tried the Mars in game 1, looked very impressive. Games 2 and 3 Magnus, not so much, right? So if you're putting all of the eggs into that basket, it just feels a little bit too one-dimensional for me. Also, that fact that they were able to get the ganks onto the Lina quite effectively. We saw that come through. And then in Game 3, Dualraze, I would say, probably had a bit of a better game than he did in Game 2, but still, you were going up against, two cores that were going to beat out the Medusa that Munkushi was playing in that Position 1 role. And if your Position 1 is effectively doing nothing in these team fights because you're just getting outranged by a sniper and a Drow Ranger, there's not really too much that a Lina needs to do, right? You need someone that's going to at least put a little bit of distraction away from you yourself if you're going to try and get away with this Lina pick.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And they don't have first pick, so we'll not be able to potentially open up with the Lina like we have seen from them. One move, they will have that option of being able to go for whatever they feel is strongest. In regards to them, we saw yesterday, the games honestly weren't that convincing versus 9 Pandas. We didn't really get to see one move be able to fight back, to be honest. That was a 32-minute victory, 30-minute victory as well for 9 Pandas, so it was very good games to them. We saw some unconventional heroes. The carry Clinks is kind of one of them. We saw the Night Stalker come out pretty early in a draft as well. Not to success, which is the big thing, the big reason why they're here. So what do we want to see a bit differently now for one move?
I mean, it was the carry Bloodseeker as well. Like, yes, it was a counter to the Pangolier, but I saw a bunch of fights where, the Rupture was used onto a Terrorblade. That's not Terrorblade's job in a lot of these fights, right? He's not going to be running around. He can just stand his ground and man fight against a pretty decent amount of physical damage that they had at the time. So I think one move just kind of lost themselves in the draft in the previous series. And I mean, even with 4 heroes, let's say they had the Clockwork, Earth Spirit, and Night Stalker, and I guess to a lesser extent the Bloodseeker that could get on the Lich, find it, take away some of that physical damage reduction, they weren't really able to at the start of a lot of these engagements. So that's the main area of concern for mine, that if they are going to have a bit of a wonky draft, are they going to have good enough execution to be able to kind of mask that a little bit? To me, the only way that one move is going to win is with a definitive draft victory, because it felt like 1W was a little bit more even across the board. It was just some really good drafting from 9 Pandas that was able to beat them. Sorry, from 4 Pirates that was able to beat them.
All right, well, let's see. Speaking about the draft, we do have this one underway. So we've got the bans from 1W. No real big surprises there. And then one move, their draft as well. Again, we're seeing teams first phase banning the Morphling up against 1W, and they're going to get rid of the Mars and then into the Magnus. So again, we saw game 2, game 3, 1W were first facing the Mars, so the Magnus. Let's see what route they want to go down now. Batrider is maybe something we could be looking at for Sweden Strong, because game 1 just really had a good Batrider performance against 4 Pirates, so I think this could be something that you are considering. Dawnbreaker is also there, but I don't know how you feel personally about Dawn. Yeah.
I wouldn't be going down the route that early. Like, Beastmaster, it's fine, right? But I feel like you have the opportunity to pick up... Maybe they just felt like there were too many offlaners being banned out from the pool. Like, you've picked the Magnus, Mars, Doom, Alchemist to a lesser extent were gone, so may as well just secure your offlaner now while you can. And again, the Beastmaster can kind of flex to be in any sort of draft that you feel. I personally was completely on board with what you were suggesting, the Batrider, just because you're able to, again, have a Sweden Strong specialty. Strong early game, strong mid game, strong late game. Take a lot of farm, take a lot of attention away from your cores, and if you are going to go a slightly greedier draft, something like a Batrider playing in the enemy jungle, cutting waves is going to go a long way towards that. So, seems like that won't be the case. I wonder if they're going to try and go a faster paced draft just because of this Beastmaster. We saw yesterday one move got Beastmastered. Wasn't necessarily the Helm of the Overlord build because they were going up against a Clinks, so the Death Pact would have just made the Helm of the Dominator not quite as effective, but still that Drums of Slom came out at about 18 minutes or so, I want to say, and it was really effective. Bristleback is still in the pool, and okay, so this is that fast pace we were talking about, right? Lich Band doesn't necessarily seem like it's a physical damage reduction, it just seems like a tower protector that they're trying to get rid of, so I like it, and both teams really just putting pedal to the metal, okay.
I mean, the Bristol seems like a pretty cool response from one move. You're taking a look at what you have with the Beastmaster Enchantress, like you're saying, probably looking to pick up the tempo. Feels like this hero... free lane like Bristle Chen, I don't think you're ever losing that lane. and then how you're going to be able to park yourself in front of objectives, and you are ready to go with the early game fights that 1W, at least with their 2 heroes, are suggesting they want to be taking.
Where's the Nyx assassin? That's what I want to know. You know, anytime that I see an Enchantress, I'm like, Nyx, instantly, as a response to it. Maybe they felt like it was a little bit too weak against an Enchantress and a Beastmaster that are going to be pushing into you, but it really does feel like it is still a possible option. Of course, they still have the potential to pick it up with this last pick of this phase. So we'll see if that is the way that they look to go down. Man, this really does feel like 1W just like, all right, at 15 minutes, we're going to have drums, drums of Slom, plus Diffusal Blade, plus, you know, a bunch of survivability and levels. We're just going to run at you. And I almost wonder if you want to consider, could they Nyx on the 1W side? Just because, yes, it could deal with a few of the Chen creeps. 2, you can get a quick pick off that then sets up for you to push with the outnumber. And 3, once you get into the Aghanim Shard, the Vendetta breaks on hit for 4 seconds. So that's nice against the Bristleback as well.
So shy away from the Batrider as a whole, though. I know you mentioned the Nyx assassin, which I heavily agree and thought this was going to be a possibility, but I really thought 1W, like this Batrider hero for Sweden Strong, is something that I think was a big reason why they were able to win that previous game. We're going to get the Ember now as a response from One Move. It is a pretty goddamn good Ember game. I do think there is some advantages in regards to the supports being able to rotate from 1W. I think they being able to bring the Enchantress and the Dark Willow with a dive on 5-6 minutes in with the catapult wave, I do think favors them slightly. But the Ember as a whole looks like it has a pretty good game. You paired up with the Magnus too, of course, bonus in power. Cleave makes it quite nice for you to be able to keep up in farm, which we can see Ember can fall behind sometimes.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to go the double hit facet with the Sleight of Fist, or if it's going to be more of the chain gang route to try and control. I would have to imagine it's that double hit just because of what you were saying with the Empower, enabling him to just cleave down this this Zoo quite effectively. And I would have to imagine they're not really concerned about his raw damage output. I think you've got that from the Bristle and the Magnus, so you could like a Mage Slayer into maybe an Orb of Corrosion and then look to go down the damage route just to be able to, reduce a lot of the healing that's going to be coming through from the Enchantress plus the Beastmaster, get a little bit of that slow coming through as well, and of course just nullifying a bunch of the damage that they're going to have early on.
What do you feel like the type of position 4 is that they're looking for on One Move?
What's the control look like? It's not bad. I wouldn't mind a Keeper of the Light. Like, if they're just looking to go into this, you can give the Chakra Magic over to the Ember Spirit just to make him even more effective in these team fights, buff up the Bristleback, have a lot more of these Quill Sprays coming through, stops the, Death Ball push from coming through, and it does kind of fit your own timings as well if you're trying to get active too. So I think a Coddle could work, even though it is certainly unorthodox.
That it is indeed, but they have plenty of lot of reserve time for them to be able to work out what that hero is.
I mean, they've got the RP that's going to go through the Rolling Thunder. Could they still just Nyx? It's okay, but maybe it's going to be good if and it kind of forces the Beastmaster not to go Helm with the Dominator, just because it's going to be ruined until he's able to get into that Overlord. So that could effectively slow things down a little bit.
Wow.
Leshrac coming through. Okay. Where's this playing? Pos 1?
I think 4. True, Mag potential. So 4. Okay, yeah, now that I see that, maybe it is actually going to be a core. I thought it was going to originally be a support, but I'm not sure now.
I don't know how I feel about this, It's not that dominating draft victory that I was talking about. What could you now look to play into the Leshrac? I mean, surprisingly enough, they ban out the Slark into it. And yeah, Monkey King, another good dominator. I quite like this last pick. I don't feel like the Enchantress and the Beastmaster have been adequately addressed. I feel like you're not going to have too many ways to be able to deal with that. And it is going to be Janta playing the Leshrac, so it's a support Lesh. kind of prefer this from 1W's side, you know? Like, you can see, you can envisage this 15-ish minute timing where you're going to be able to just blow anyone up that you do find, and one move are kind of forced to respond to you, right? Because the push is coming from Respect. The push is coming from the Beastmaster. And even if he was forced to go into like a Axes build, just because you're going to be going up against the Chen, the Holy Persuasion is always going to be a factor, you can still just go Axes, right? And that's going to be a way to be able to clear out the Chen army. That's a way that you can just, you know, have this consistent damage through a lot of these team fights. You can take a bunch of stacks really effectively. I personally prefer the 1W draft. How about yourself?
Yes, I agree. I do prefer. There are some question marks on how the Lesh like fits in. We've seen in the past that this hero has been a fine support, but not really getting it at the moment. So not entirely sure on what this hero is going to be able to do. Of course, it's a relatively decent laner with the Edict and being able to like play pretty aggressive, but. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that's going to be able to help out. Maybe that could be a big factor against someone like the Monkey King. I know they didn't see the Monkey King, but knowing that this hero can be pretty frustrating to lane into, especially with Enchantress too. So I do think both sides have pretty strong safe lanes. Mid, I think, is going to be a bit of a wash, right? It's Ember versus Pango, so it should be pretty even. Maybe it's going to come down to skill difference. I think for me, where I look for this game is just the early rotations in regards to the mid lane. I do think 1W have a slightly easier time at being able to rotate and get the power runes, and importantly put some pressure onto the Ember Spirit. So that is at least the first move I would like to see from them to try and put them in a winning position, and at least importantly try to enable your Pango.
Speaking of that Ember Spirit, he has actually gone for the Chain Gang facet, so just wanting a little bit of that extra lockdown, I suppose, for a lot of these team fights. Don't know how I feel about it. Again, the synergy isn't quite as much there with your Magnus, Triple S, not Triple H. We're not watching wrestling. Isn't really going to be that big buff up for Ember in a lot of these team fights because of that. Like, it's still okay for sure, but you would love to just have that extra hit considering the eventual zoo that's just going to be running at you.
A couple other things, I suppose, as well.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh, just Ench already has the build order queued up, right? Just going straight into the drums early on, and I imagine after that it's just going to be more like Solar Crest, more buff up, more push, more keeping on going forward, because they don't really have too much in the form of the offensive dispel. So Pango always going to have a big shield, Monkey King always going to have that Jingu Mastery to be able to play around. I guess we might see Reiner later on look to, he's got a Sadia Mind Stealer now after going the Sadia Convert facet, but wonder if he's going to have a Sadia Banisher, because, you know, in response to that Monkey King.
We will have to see. I hear that. Gotta say, probably a little bit surprised the fact that it gets all the way into the last phase on the Monkey King. We were seeing in Western Europe, like, this hero was first phase ban. I would have to imagine because of the flex that we're seeing from people with being able to play it as a 1 or a 2. And at the moment, quite strong in the mid lane versus some of the better position 2 heroes as well. So potentially why we're seeing it banned out there was maybe Eastern Europe just don't have as much priority on the hero.
It's a possibility for sure, but I think just because of all those reasons that you said, especially the flex and the ability to just completely dominate any melee heroes, is a good enough reason, in my opinion, to just look to try and ban it out. We can see not too much of that bullying happening at this point from Munkushi in, the safe lane for 1W, and Jant is actually doing a pretty good job of zoning away Respect. That is one way, I suppose, to be able to address the Enchantress, just have an overwhelming amount of magic damage where, you know, the eventual Untouchable isn't going to do that much. The damage comes through too quickly for the Nature's Attendants to actually be protecting you.
Top lane, whoa. Running down Sweden strong with a quilt. Last one's not enough. This is a value lane for the sticks for either side. The Axis spam along with the Bristol spam. We see the sticks already being a bit of a factor here to keep the resources up from 1W.
Expecting there to be a lot of value coming through there, like you mentioned, and a lot of aggression from both teams as a result of those sticks being picked up. I'm a little surprised that they haven't gotten a bit more aggressive onto Janta whenever he's got this Diabolic Edict off cooldown, because that's really going to start to sting once he puts the second point into it and just looks to try and run down this enemy lineup.
Mid lane so far looking pretty even. 15-2 compared to the 12-2. So both mid laners having an okay time. And you could even say both these mid laners looking for a bit of retribution. Again, Dure's game 1 yesterday looked very good. The other games struggled. And I think you could definitely say the same for Warwick as well. Would you say that there's a mid laner that is a little bit more countered this game? Okay, top lane, sweet and strong.
Thought he was safe inside the Shadow Realm, but was not against the Bristles.
Cloud.
Might actually go for a chase here onto Cloud. Lotus giving over to Woe.
Cloud? Cloud is dead.
5 stacks. Doesn't even need to go for the right click. Don't know if you can go for this chase.
No, I think you're dead if you keep going and the quills stack up. The sustain from the Chen, yeah, Woe's going to turn it back around now. I guess he's got 21 charges.
Ooh.
Sweet and Strong's going to be able to find him. Okay, that was a big nukes. 2 points up in the Shadow Realm here for Sweet and Strong, but he might go down, which is going to be a awkward trip back to the lane, but looks like he's just able to get out of range here for the last little bit of damage that Ryan was looking for.
Actually going for a Vanguard on this Bristleback to be able to start with, so really wanting to protect the entire team. I assume it's going to be an eventual Crimson Guard, you would assume, right? When you've got this... I know it's a +1 Bristleback, right? So it doesn't feel amazing to be able to go down that route, but maybe he just feels like he needs something to be able to protect him when he's looking to run into the center of a lot of these team fights, like he just did, diving past the tier 1 tower.
I think he bought the VIP booster at the secret shop when... just for... oh, respect.
He's got the Ring of Health.
Now, Janta's not okay. And Kushi's going to be able to chain their attention over. Looks like still triple S. Good enough for the shockwave. Meanwhile, mid as well, Warwick. Aggressive Cliff. Because he has the VIP boost on the Bristle, no? Or does he have the Ring of Health? Yeah.
He has the VIP booster, but he's got it queued up already, the Ring of Health.
Okay, I was thinking maybe he changed his mind or at least gone for it earlier, because I have been seeing the Vanguard a little bit more, but we've been seeing it like Scepter first, and I didn't know if he wanted the bonus health from the VIP booster throughout that fight just to stay alive and potentially get the return kill onto the Dark Willow.
It's a possibility for sure. I didn't see exactly how much health he had, and you know, if you're rushing Scepter, you could have easily just purchased a point booster at that time. I think he had enough.
So far, we do see lowest net worth is actually hold that respect. Here's the rotations like I was expecting. Out of the supports, they're going to pump fake the Centaur stun. Ain't going to dodge out on the slide. It feels like this is something that can definitely continue. I really want to see them stick around on 1W. Like 30 seconds to the next power rune. The Ember's going to TP back to mid. I feel like you can bully him again.
How long have they got? 10 seconds. Yeah, respect just having a look at what the sort of situation is around a bunch of these neutrals here. Looks like he wants to be as close to the lane as possible. Ooh, actually, is he going to be able to get this Warpine Raider? Is he making stacks for himself? Is he looking to try and take that away? It means that he's not going to be on the bottom power rune spot. He's forced to use the Rolling Thunder. He's got the Thunderbolt, by the way, not the double jump. So he's going to be able to catch people in the center of a lot of these team fights.
Okay. Meanwhile, over to the left side. Sweet and Strong steals the arcane rune out of the face of Warwick. So...
value.
Yes, yes. Definitely felt like there was an opportunity if the positioning was right and the Ember stepped a bit too far forward where we could have got a secondary kill on him. So I think he catches a break, but for 1W, you're happy with what you got. There's about a 600 net worth difference between the mid laners. And importantly, you get use out of the Rolling Thunder early to be able to help the pain grow. It does look like Woe is considering about walking across the bridge, but nice read from Sweet and Strong. He's going to prevent any chance of a Wisdom Rune steal.
It's been pretty solid so far this game. Again, giving up the first blood, but he's more than rectified it with those rotations, with preventing the Bristleback from getting too far out of control, although he has already got a 1,000 net worth lead relative to the Beastmaster. So Cloud, just the 1 point into the Call of the Wild Boar and the Hawk. I think it's important just to have that very minor route, just so people can't go for, you know, TP escapes away. And he's approaching the level 6 as well, so we'll be able to get into a lot more of this spare.
Oh, can I fight this on Radiant? Okay. Looks like that's not the case. I thought the monkey maybe was going to be able to fly in. Actually wanting to come for the power rune by the looks of it. Munkushi starting to rotate. They've got a high ground ward over to the right side. We'll see if it scouts him. In fact, he's going to start to go back towards the lane.
Even Cloud's coming to be able to protect the power rune and potentially go for a kill, but the aggression coming through from dual rays enough to be able to dissuade. Just gets a cheeky mana burn to the face. But again, not really farming on this Beastmaster, right? He is falling further and further behind the Bristleback, and that's a big area of concern. I do like the fact that he's gone for the power treads this time around, as Respect scouts out a big stack, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much about it.
No, not at all. In fact, he's just going to be chased down, so scouts it out and gives a big injection of gold over towards Warwick, in fact, which is probably a better one to get at bottom lane. RP into the stun setup. Nicely done. Triple S instantly getting use out of that ultimate, and Mokushi's been left alone for quite some time, and they've finally been able to punish the greedy plays, you could say, from 1W to try and maximize what they're getting out of the map with the supports moving away.
I mean, if you just have a look at the net worth of Magnus versus Monkey King, this is not how the game is meant to go. You last picked this Monkey King to have a lane dominator that was going to be bullying this Magnus, and it just straight up hasn't happened. I feel like the Shrek has done far more than I think anyone could have expected against this Enchantress to get that bullying up at the very start.
Top lane. Both sides looking to make their own play. Cloud probably not expecting to run into Warwick, along with Woa raiding on the high ground. He's got the roll for the bonus movement speed, but they're still going to be able to catch up to him. Tries to get a little bit of damage into Rhine to help secure the kill. But nice change from Warwick, holds both of them into place, and this Bristleback is starting to be a massive issue. Top net worth, and he's not stopping any time soon. One move. Well, this is a team that we did not see from them yesterday, but the gameplay early on, they are looking good.
They are indeed. It's just going to get better and better. Even have a look at this. Whoa, he scouted out the stack inside of the ancient camp area. He thinks that he's going to be building a bunch of stacks. Cloud feels like he knows that it's going on, but he needs boys.
Okay, Rolling Thunder might end up dying to... The Slight got him on Warwick. Okay, I mean, this is now Rolling Thunder put on cooldown, which is a big one. Back over to the triangle we go. Like you were saying, Cloud needs the boys. Woe needs the boys to be able to charge up. Still the stacks. He's going to get them now, but it is towards the tail end.
Got about half of that. Still mission accomplished though, right? He was 1,000 ahead of the Beastmaster. Now it's 1,700. And it's only going to get more and more with plenty of farm picked up now by the Bristleback. Only has the point booster at this point in time towards the Aghanim Scepter, but he's just going to be spamming out that Soul Ring. Of course, the Vanguard, another useful aspect is the health regen coming through, so you're not really feeling that self-conscious about being low on HP when you're in the lanes, and honestly just feels like 1W have nowhere near the amount of damage that they need to be able to take care of him at this point of the game. Munkushi is going to need not just this Maelstrom, but another item on the back of it to be able to kill him.
One move they want to continue up the tempo that we've seen from them, and top lane, Raw into the Wukongs, looking to try and get in front of Warwick. Warwick turns his back around, but the Diffuser Slow really helps him debilitate the slow of the Bristleback, and that is a gigantic kill. Top net worth, you get everyone involved as well. You do have some issues with the mid lane. Triple S going to be able to find the skewer back into the damage output from the Leshrac. It does mean that Sweet and Strong is going to be able to address the creep wave, and you have given time for some of the rotations to come out. Monkey, an aggressive jump in the middle. The Rolling Thunder chase down. Nice use. The Hurricane drags both of them back. You're good for the kill onto the champ. Near by the left side, Triple S is also going to be able to find an enchant, so a support equaling off the trade.
nicely done. Like you said, the Hurricane, extremely effective, but still able to just walk away from the Rolling Thunder. Dual Rays didn't have the early game that he would have been hoping for. Now it's pretty much 1,000 gold across the board for all 3 cores coming through from One Move side. And with all this happening, I mean, you just saw the reverse polarity, but Magnus has plenty of farm to be able to play around with. It's not just that, he's starting to work towards a little bit more of this extra impact for himself. You know, Empower is going to be maxed out before the Skewer, so I wonder if he goes into the Echo Saber as opposed to just a BKB rush, because it feels like he could probably get away with a little bit more of a greedy build. Also, just the cleave to be able to hit into the Willow feels nice.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Rough there from Sweden Strong. Speaking about the Monkey a little bit more, how do we feel about the decision to go for the facet that we see from him? Because we've been seeing a little bit more of the Simeon stride. Why do we feel like he's gone for this one?
Good question, honestly. I feel like people are going to be... You're going to force people to move away, maybe bait them further into you, and then you're going to have to terrorize to enable the run away. Simeon Stride, he doesn't necessarily need to get super active across the map. He just needs to be that anchor that they lay down. Like, I wonder if they would be satisfied with literally just outside of tier 1 towers, Wukong's ulting every single one of these tower pushes that Beastmaster is going to be assisting with. Speaking of Beast, he's only about 200 gold away from that Ag Scepter, so it really does feel like 1W are going to be prepared to start a movement in the not too distant future. And they want to try and punish them before it gets to that point. Warwick, he's got a shield rune finished up. Janta reveals on the lane. Janta dot Sweetie. So they back off just in time to be able to protect Beastmaster's life, as he's now got the Ags completed, but they lose their Wisdom rune as a result.
Yes, that they do indeed, but maybe feeling strong enough to actually take a team fight here. Off the back of the kill on the Gent, they're starting to move over, but the Enchantress steps a bit too far forward. Puts himself in a position where maybe they can force the rest of One Move in an awkward spot, and they're doing just that with all the spells used on the Bristleback again.
Completely
he is gone. We got no RP as well. Triple S not connecting onto anyone, so this is a nice play from 1W. They are clawing themselves back into this game.
Dude, that RP was a mile off. It wasn't even remotely close. I'm not really sure what he was expecting to hit with that at that point in time, but it really makes a bad situation even worse. Now your own effective way to be able to take a lot of these team fights is completely gone. You really want to be utilizing these observer wards that you've placed down pretty much purely on the 1W side of the map. One Move wanting to get aggressive, wanting to keep this push forward going. Sweden Strong didn't quite see the observer on the left-hand side of the one that he just placed in the mid lane.
Be a big kill into the Beastmaster, and with Leshak, I know it is a support, but so seeing the damage output that this hero can provide, it's a blink now completed. And slowing down the Cloud's item progression, which is big because we have seen this Beastmaster just be able to solo kill heroes and completely take over games.
Talk about heroes that have taken over games, though. It's got to be the Bristle at the very top of the list. Yeah, it's got that Aghanim Scepter coming out to him, so certainly not a bad time for him to have finished up this purchase. A fine dual raise, but dual raise,
Well done.
keeps out of that.
They're actually running at them? Oh, Cloud again will respect someone with the micro. Respected is the creep, very nicely done. Wild Wing Ripper has been a little bit frustrating in some of these occasions, and another death in a row for the Magnus. This hero still having a pretty decent game, but you are giving some massive kills back, and meanwhile Munkushi, importantly, off on the opposite side of the map, getting some catch-up.
He's spotted out, though, a little bit, and with this damage that he's taking, won't be able to tree dance away, realizing, though, that Bristle doesn't have the damage output to kill him before the TP away or the lockdown.
Speaking of the Bristle, what are the items he's got queued up at the moment? What are we going to see?
Bloodstone, Axe Shard.
Okay, no big surprises. Stock standard for him. And we'll see that sustain continue to come through from the Chen as well, who is finding a decent amount of farm. Do you like how greedy the Chen has been this game, or do you think he could have been even farming a little bit more? Or
I think he could have been farming a bit more, to be honest. And also, I'm not completely sure who this Solar Crest is going to be going on. Ton of damage through that Diabolic Edict. Not really the best pusher because of the misanthropy facet. It's not really his goal in this game. His goal is control Enchantress, look to blow up the Beastmaster before you get value out of that Aghanim Scepter.
that's a fast roach though.
Lots of Skelly boys.
To bring it down. Lots of Skellies indeed. And I know first rush is never that important. We do see Beastmasters able to take it pretty easily. I think the most important thing, again, is just the fact that you take it on your side of the map, where now this kind of controls it in this location. There's a good chance it's going to be there on the next respawn. A very good chance, in fact.
Second one might be a bit more dicey though. It'll be a bit closer towards that daytime mark. So if it is, of course, a longer respawn. So it's not necessarily like this. Ooh, nice blink away by Cloud. It's not a foolproof plan, just to set yourself up for that future success in securing the Roshan's banner. Look at how aggressive they're looking to play though with this Aegis, with the Aghanim Scepter. Plenty of ways to divide and conquer coming through.
Oh, Cloud.
Found the mag.
Jump over the top of the Bristleback. Looking to try to take the Magnus out of the equation. Can he get the RP off? Chain control needs to be perfect, and it is. No RP for the team fight. But they use a lot for the Magnus, and meanwhile, Woe is just tanking up before Wukong's command. Finally, they're going to be able to bring him down. So the Aegis life is claimed, but you use absolutely everything for that.
Do they have the tower push to be able to deal with it? Probably, but you don't have the creep wave to be able to continue pushing on forward. They've done a pretty good job, even after a successful team fight like that, to be able to just quickly shove the lanes out, make sure that they're not instantly looking to try and push into you. And yeah, the lack of RP is really starting to become more and more pronounced. You know, they had the vision advantage at the start of all of that. They were sending units forward as well, just to be able to get that extra little bit of vision that the Beastmaster needs to be able to, you know, get the Drums of Slom going with the Primal Roar. Now he's level 12 as well, so it's really going to start to build up a whole lot more quickly. Rogue Bow, not the Vampire Fangs for the Beastmaster, so he's going to be kicking himself at that, but still going to be relatively okay as Reiner actually gets the Aghanim Shards, so be able to get the Ancient Granite Golem if he really wants, and yeah, that's certainly the way that he is looking to approach this game. A lot more damage that you don't need to put your life on the line to continuously punish. And now you got start to see a bit more value coming out of the Chen going this particular build as opposed to the mech no boots rush. Off the back of Solar Crest on one of your ancients that you're able to get just risk-free pushing and nothing that they can do on the one.
No, absolutely not by the looks of it. Now 1W are smoking, looking to try and invade aggressively into the Wisdom Rune and Tormentor area. Chanter with the invis, they got detection, so I'm just gonna pop. They're scouting them out. They're all starting to get pretty weak as well. This is going to be disastrous for Radiant. Yeah, you find the Blessed Rack, but he has done what they were. A terror late, meanwhile, Triple also got caught. Luckily, it got to the neutrals. Unfortunately, you were still not able to finish off the Tormentor as well, so it's just a Wisdom for a kill onto Janta.
Really ballsy play, and I'm sure that's the sort of thing that Janta would have been calling out, right? Like, he didn't have an understanding of where they are the entire time, but if you're not defending a 21-minute Wisdom Rune on your side of the map, you're not defending it to tower, there's only one place that you could realistically be if you're not just showing on the lanes, right? Like, you're not just going to be sitting back in your own jungle the entire time, losing objectives. So it's up play to be able to call out that move, and we just saw how effective it was, being able to claim 3 heroes for the cost of 1.
Lead is now built up to 9,000 though. This is continuing to get even more difficult. And do you feel like this is a lineup for 1W? Like, will they have an easy time? I'll hold that thought, Janto. Wanting to walk up the high ground. He's got some heroes playing behind him. Yeah, Janto is okay now. Whoa. Bristleback gonna reveal for a second, and whoa. No hesitation with the charge in there, but that was a massive rolling thunder in the back line. Now they're gonna have to roll on the Ember Spirit as well. It's gonna get on time for the U-turn. Dual raise gets there. Really nice spell casting. 1W using everything perfectly together. The round dispellers is now not there for the attempt onto the Bristle. The jump away with the Boundless, dodging the RP, terrorize the reset. You bought back on the Ember Spirit as well. You are begging. You are ever so begging just to get a couple more valuable kills out of this buyback. Otherwise, this is going to put 1W in a pretty decent position. And yes, they have a deficit still, but what a beautiful fight for them.
Very greedy move coming there from Dual Raise, you know, wanting to swashbuckle through, hit him in the front, get a little bit more damage into the Bristleback. But honestly, at that point, it felt like all he really needed to do was just hit him from anywhere. He was on about 10-15% mana from Woe, and by hitting into him all these times, it just enabled him to get a few more of those Bristlebacks going back the other way. It meant that you weren't, and you were focusing in onto him, and it forced you to commit for that RP, right? Resulted in a couple of cores going down, resulted in a dominating streak being fed over to the Ember Spirit as well, who up until that point, Warwick had been having a pretty good game, but this is the sort of thing that's going to allow him to take over a whole lot more effectively. Didn't go that full Orb of Corrosion, but still the Mage Slayer on the Ember Spirit. Such an effective tool this game.
Yeah, without a doubt it is. Item that we pretty much see only the Ember Spirits are going for. No one else really is that Mage Slayer builder. I mean, we don't see Slark, but maybe there are some games if that hero is getting picked where it's considered, but pretty much just the Ember.
Occasional Pango, but yeah, that'd be pretty much it.
And I mean, the Pango this game, 30 net worth. The Raze has done it. Honestly, I think he's been pretty good with the Rolling Thunders. I believe 5, 2, and 7 I saw was the KDA. Now they are looking to try and reclaim their triangle. Moving forward with the vision already set up from one move. You got the Monkey King that's giving a lot of information though. Scouting them out, Mag just able to get the blink away. And Skewer close towards the team, and the team, they are starting to connect together. They're a little bit split still. Mukushi want to track the Mag out, but will not be able to do so over to the left side. There's a roar, but that is a roar on a Bristleback. And he is turned. And now they're looking over the Dark Willow as well. Nimble over to the left side. Respect caught out inside the lane. So both supports with the Lambs fed to the Wolves. Isolated on the west and the east. And one move will not hesitate for some freebies. They can look to try and walk it down potentially now and get a T2 tower that's going to be vulnerable.
They will, and I assume they should be able to get that one for free because top lane tier 2 tower's already gone. You'd have to imagine that they're looking to try and save that that glyph for the high ground push. Yeah, they're only up in 10 seconds, but if you can afford to just get a free glyph out of the enemy team, you'll look to take that opportunity any chance that you can get. Skelly Boys perhaps assisting the siege creep to be able to continue this push in.
Seemed a bit hesitant. Like, I think the Chen and the Mag wanted to, and then Bristle was ready to back away. I guess Roche... Is that a fast Roche? I think that's a fast Roche one, right? I didn't see the original time.
Yeah, it's really quick. It's like 15 seconds.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, 1W potentially going to have time to be able to get out and contest. It will be... through the whole duration, more than likely, is going to be at this top side of the map from one move. Of course, again, we did see the Ember buyback previously, so for this fight, he will not have this available if a fight does break out and he does die.
There's always the danger, but I mean, the thing is, he's most likely going to be the one that you just give the Aegis to, right? And we saw how quickly they were able to take it previously with all those quill stacks, with the viscous nasal goo. There was the Chen army as well. They were looking to try and play around. Drums now completed up as well for Reiner. seeing if there's any value to be gotten out of the Greaves. Not really, right? Like, you can dispel off the slow from the Enchantress. You can get rid of the Brambles if you're caught inside of it. I wonder if it's just... it's not really as much of a Boots of Bearing game. No one's got the Tranquils on the one move side.
Dark Willow.
Who's been caught out here?
Triple S goes fishing. Dark Willow protected with the Shadow Realm momentarily. Importantly, it is kind of buying time though for Radiant to get the lanes out. It doesn't really matter that much so Sweet and Strong still dies, and I think that's going to be the case. So, okay, I was going to say, like, if they go fishing, don't get the kill on the Dark Willow, and she escapes, and everyone gets bottom mid out, then maybe we could see them actually put themselves in a position where they can contest Roche, but not to beat Janta. Oh my god, Moonkushi, what a timing to spring back down to the low grab, but Janta's going to be able to actually blink aggressively now. They will kill him off through the BKB by the looks of it. Oh, this Leshrac support Cloud. Looking to roll inside the Wukong, but the Wukong has expired. It's not going to matter. Cloud himself has got the remaining damage that's needed, but he is now going to be forced to take a dive into the river. But they have an Observe Ward, so there is no cute positioning that the Beast can do to avoid the gank.
I'm getting a little bit convinced here by the support Leshrac.
Yeah.
Janta's doing a fantastic job against, again, the Untouchable coming from the Enchantress. A little bit of that AoE damage that's going to be hitting the Pangolier in a lot of these team fights. Burst for the Beastmaster. Even just Willow inside of the Shadow Realm, right, is going to be hit by a decent amount of it. And we just saw that Wukong's not effective at all at being able to protect him.
This is, yeah, it's not bad at all, this Leshrac. I too am starting to be impressed. And you got Aegis now, Crimson, Ghost Scepter, even on the Bristle. So these are some very unique items. Mid lane, Ember. Warwick's going to be able to activate the BKB. And has a remnant available. Might even look for the kill before he gets out, and oh man, Warwick styling this game. Left side, they have caught at least a bigger fish to fry being with the Magnus. Triple S going to go down, continuing to have a good couple of minutes and then a bad couple.
Lane's still in a pretty decent spot. They are going to get the tier 1 tower, just their second tower of the entire game. So a nice little injection of gold coming through there for 1W, but I mean, Janta's still continuing to farm. He's going for this Scythe of Ice. He wants to blink in, pop the Ghost Scepter, and blow up a target before you start to get some of these heals coming through. You're going to be spooked out a little bit as well, just showing up next to that Watcher. Oof, just off the mark with the Boundless Strike.
It's close. It's close indeed, but that does a net worth lead. And now we are looking to try and walk it down bottom by the looks of it for one move. So objectives are a possibility for them.
They are indeed looking to try and... I think they just want to push these lanes out a little bit more. I guess the warding game is the one area that they are a little bit lacking right now. I mean, Warwick, he could potentially be showing underneath a Watcher. I'd love to be able to find Cloud at the start of these team fights again, but he's got that BKB now.
Nice chains. Oh, how did he get pushed away? What happened there? Not going to be able to get the skewer down. Dual Rays have the opportunity to get the RP off. And now with the Rolling Thunder, at least protecting him momentarily, but it is still an ultimate that doesn't net you a kill, and with the Aegis, you're not really going to be stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, he was rolled up and he tried to...
I see.
It just pushed him away, so very quick fingers coming through there from Dual Rays. It's what you expect from a Grandmaster Pangolier, just to be able to get himself out of that sticky situation.
Top lane, Cloud. Warwick making a go into the Beastmaster here. Warwick's going to be able to do it by himself, dude. This Ember Spirit, 12, 2, and 8 again, making amends from the series yesterday that we saw from him and the boys. And meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, you got the Brister back pretty much with zero cares actually sieging Warwick. I don't know if he actually scouted up Munkushi on the Monkey King, looking to set up the back climb. Dual Rays might be stuck in the middle now. The slows
starting to come through. Gleipnir from afar, but a force stop to help reposition. They got a glimpse of the
they found
monkey.
the monkey.
Mukushi down on the low ground. Found the strikes, at least able to leap away, but that does mean the Wukong's it's not going to be available now as Woe senses an opportunity to charge on full. Mukushi's gone. No buyback here for the Monkey King. They're going to be able to drag the Enchantress back, burying him inside his own grave as 1W. The difficult times will continue for them and this new roster. This is shortly about to be a victory for one move. I don't think they're going to stop here until the G's are dropped.
This is the sort of thing where you see someone like Chira Jr. just sitting back and saying, really? Did you need me not on the roster? Because he was putting in those standout performances for Team Secret, standing in and looking to already be one game down is 1W. Just have to have a look at highlighting some of the item decisions coming through from one move as well. I mean, I see 3 Ghost Scepters, including one on Woe. They're just wanting to put their bodies on the front line, you know, make sure that they're committing heavily in onto the Bristleback. And I mean, it just takes so much to be able to get through him, and the damage coming back the other way just from the Quill Spray only is so overwhelming.
Jump in with a roll. An attempt on the episode with the arm. He cuts that short. Any even slither of hope that was there from 1W to try and kill with the Ember Spirit is completely nullified with that counter initiation. And our second full set of barracks. Yeah, he
30
does.
seconds left. I mean, you could get these great RPs to be able to stop the aggression, and that's of course a big factor as to why he hasn't lost it already, but where's the follow-up damage coming from?
What? Munkushi?
needs to
BKB
try
Wukongs,
something.
but he's trying something.
Ghost Scepters, man.
Unfortunately, it's just not going to matter. Rhine protected over to the right side. Genta is isolated from dual raise. The secondary support might be vulnerable as well, but the Monkey King is unable to commit. Once the Bristleback turns, puts himself in the front, protecting his supports and not going to be able to run past Woe.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Got down to that top side pretty quickly, did Janta, and it looks like they found out the Dark Willow. No buyback on Swedenstrong. He is really getting the tips lately from every single team that's able to get the W against him. Not sure what their issues are, but anyway, it is a pretty dominant performance so far. Mega creeps before the 34-minute mark coming through. 23k net worth lead. It feels like there's no coming back from this one as Dual Rays, he's going to try and stall it, delay things a little bit. Might be enough to get the Chen at least, but it's so minor.
Yeah, that it is. So minor. And not enough. I mean, Dores gets some consolation prizes for the extra kills, but they are forced to tap out of this game. Very well done from one move. I mean, this I'm honestly really excited to see what draft we get from them heading into the upcoming game. They looked very clean with everyone. It felt like we saw some good moments. I think yes, we saw some missed RPs, but we also saw the mag, over position sometimes. But then it really felt like some of the RPs were great in some of the team fights to be able to counter initiate. Some skewers were really important with those early game movements. He really won his lane as well, pretty convincingly versus a Monkey King who were expecting to do better. This Leshrac, I know you were saying you were also convinced by it. For me, what I'm even getting more convinced by is, dude, this Bristleback hero. It seems everyone cannot beat it by the looks of it. This hero is ridiculous, and it was first phase 2, right?
It was, and this is why I'm like, where's the break? Where's these heroes that can look to actually address it? I think Viper is probably going a little bit too far the other way because physical damage still is the thing that kind of ruins you, and that's what Bristle, of course, has in spades, but where's the Nyx? Where's the Shadow Demon? Where's even the Hoodwink to be able to deal with it? Just something that's going to provide you with break, a natural Silver Edge buyer as well, and they're just not getting it. One other thing, like Dulres, he had a pretty good game this time around, right? The Pangolier, those Rolling Thunders were really good. We saw the quick fingers to be able to get into the roll-up to prevent that immediate follow-up to the RP. I'm not sure about some of his item decisions, though. At the very end of the game, he was queuing up a nullifier for quite some time, and it was actually something that was really necessary because we saw at the very end there, Bristle, Chen, Leshrac all had that nullifier available for themselves, and it meant that when Munkushi dived onto people, he just couldn't kill anyone. You lay out the Wukongs and there's not really that follow-up that's going to prevent them from just escaping that area of death, and then they were just fine. So really nice itemization coming through, really useful and intuitive use of the Leshrac pick to be able to counter out not only the Monkey King, but the Enchantress as well. And how often do you see a Ghost Scepter on a Bristleback at this early point of the game? I mean, the game only lasted 34 minutes.
Yeah, that it did indeed. 34 minutes, but you take a look at the full item build here from Woe, and I mean, he's going to have a lot of items to work with when he goes 13, 3, and 11. Unfortunately, his counterpart, the carry for 1W, really wasn't able to get his footing and get them over the finish line. We see teams are respect banning the Morphling in the first phase, so putting a lot of priority on his hero and trying to limit the carry potential. But so far, 1W, the difficulties are continuing still. One good game so far we've seen from the versus Vol Pirates. Besides that, everything has looked pretty difficult for them to be able to put themselves in a position to get the victories, and they are now one game away at being eliminated from the qualifiers. That would be the first team not to even move forward, eliminated from the hunt to make it over to Serbia and play in front of a crowd. So we're gonna have to see, because these were probably the favorites, honestly, or at least people were expecting them to be in the grand final. So backs are against
just
the
on
wall
that point
is the big thing.
Just on that point, you could have given me 1,000,000 to 1 odds of them being eliminated, and I probably wouldn't have taken it. Like maybe I'll chuck a tenner on, but that's about it. And this is the sort of thing that is unexpected, but maybe not as much in the Eastern European region, right? With how even it is across the board, and it means that you really can't miss any single game of these qualifiers because anything can happen. So, on that note, going to go to a quick break. We'll be back with game number 2 after we have a look at these highlights, and more Dota still to come.
we are back with the official broadcast for some close qualifier action here. We're going to be heading into Game 2. Dano, not the start that they would be hoping for the boys on a 1W. For the other one team, one move, look good, very good. Better adaptations from what we saw from them yesterday, right? And it felt like everyone did played their role. Wasn't like one standout performance in particular. Felt like we got everything that we needed out of the plays from this 5-man to get that Game 1 victory.
For sure. And I think the big thing is, like, yes, both of us weren't really confident in the one move draft, right? We thought, what's this Leshrac going to do? Is it going to actually be all that impactful? How are they going to be able to set the lanes up? Are they going to be able to respond to the Beastmaster pressure that's going to be coming through as well? The answer was yes. We saw a couple of missed RPs. That was, a big thing. But once they hit in a big way. The follow-up damage was absolutely there. A couple of times it was prior to BKBs being popped. The big thing, though, for mine is that Munkushi probably had a game that he would like to forget. He was like 3-9 that game, died a bunch of times to the Leshrac rotation. The Ghost Scepters made him basically do 0 damage across the board. And then, like you were saying, without that Simian Stride, really didn't feel like he was effective at making a bunch of these rotations as well. It felt like he was just waiting for the fights to come to him. And then, a simple Ghost Scepter stops him from doing that. And he lost the lane to a Magnus. That is not something that you should really be doing as a Monkey King. And it was a definitive loss as well. So lots of stuff didn't go too great for the 1W carry. I'm sure he's going to look to try and right the wrongs, especially considering he had the last pick of the entire team's draft as well.
Yeah, let's see if he can rectify that previous game for Munkushi. Otherwise, you are putting yourself in a position where you're going to be relying on some of the other people. And in regards to the carries in Eastern Europe, we do see overall a lot of them are a little bit greedier, not looking to show up to as many fights. So maybe we'll have to see if Munkushi looks to continue with that. I mean, that is what has worked for them in the past, I suppose. But we are seeing at the moment where a lot of the carries are getting involved. They've been rotating for like some of the Power Rune fights as well at the early game. But we're going to need to see a very different one win. We're going to see a very different 1W. Like, something needs to change. I think you mentioned as well towards the tail end, really felt like Dure's, I think, had a pretty solid performance on the Pango overall. Like, I know it can be quite easy to isolate and just pinpoint kind of the new addition to the team, but I honestly feel like he was maybe their best player that game.
He had the most damage, the highest kill involvements, a really positive KDA, and the least deaths. Not sure what more you could really expect from him. I guess part of that is because he was assisted somewhat with a lot of rotations towards the mid lane to secure the power runes, make sure that he was in a pretty decent spot against Warwick's Ember Spirit. You got to say, though, Warwick felt like he had a pretty amazing game as well. So did you really have a good game if the opposing mid also did, and it meant that, the side lanes didn't go quite as well for you? It really just comes down to that, right? Because Woe got off the chain on his Bristleback to be able to start with. We've already mentioned the Magnus, which absolutely shouldn't be happening when it's like a 2v2 situation, but it even happened in a 1v1. So yeah, he had a good game, but I would have been really concerned if they didn't, after all of the attention that was given through to him.
Do we have the info on the coin toss yet? The decision, has that been done, or are we still...
1W have first pick.
We have first pick. Okay, so the reason why I bring it up is I want to see where the Bristleback goes, because this here is... I don't know, like, maybe I'm just forgetting some of the games, but I feel like because we saw Smiling Knight play it to success a lot in Western Europe, and now I feel like we saw it maybe once or twice yesterday, and it looked really good as well. I'm really not seeing teams find an adequate way to address it. I know you're mentioning a lot about the break and some of the other ways. We've got to keep in mind, this was our first phase Bristle that we saw had a free game and looked incredible too. So speaking of the Bristleback, it's actually going to be banned out from 1W, so they will not be playing into it. They want a bit of a different style of game.
I'm actually going to look at this, like what its actual win rate is across the board for the old Bristle boy. That can't be right. In Western Europe, it was played 11 times for a 55% win rate. It seemed like it was a lot higher than that. And Eastern Europe, it has been played 4 times for a 75% win rate. Okay, that feels more adequate, but I still feel like you do so much, right? Dominate the lane, flash farm super effectively, have a form of damage that BKB isn't going to stop. Incredibly hard to kill, and there's only a pool of like, let's say about 6 heroes that can adequately look to counter him in the forms of break and all that, and pretty much only like 2, maybe 3 of them are meta. So it's like, how are you supposed to actually deal with it, you know? To me, it does feel like if you're not going to go down that route, you have to build something that wants to go into the Silver Edge early on. Is it the Slark? Who knows? Because again, he's not really safe in a lot of these team fights either, and Bristleback's HP pool is just so big that by the time the break's expired, he's still going to be able to just turn around and kill you. So not too easy of a response. I think the best response is what 1W have done in banning it. This time around, probably if I was in their shoes, I would have just picked it themselves, but clearly they favor the Magnus, and they just want to go with what's comfortable for themselves, because backs against the wall, one more loss, meaning you're out of the qualifiers first, is a pretty scary prospect.
That is indeed. We're going to get the Beastmaster response as well. So this would be a, I guess, change in picks. Yep.
Kind of crazy that it still is in this situation. I want to see more Rubik, you know? When you're going up against a Raw and an RP, feels amazing to be able to have a Rubik on either side. I mean, Rubik plus Magnus feels like a pretty decent lane as well. You know, some good nukes, plenty of ways to secure those range creeps. Maybe you wait until one move potentially go into like a melee position 5, just so that you can really look to try and punish him with lift into skewer and you know, outposition him in that way. What do you reckon about Dual Razor's haircut? It's looking pretty slick.
Pretty spiffy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you think you could rock that?
No, I don't think I could rock that.
I absolutely
that
could
is
not.
That is a Dooray's specialty.
Mm-hmm. You're more of a triple S type.
Radiant team
Yeah, a little bit longer. So heads, I'm a little bit worried about going to the hairdresser, to be honest. I need to get trim, but my Deutsch is not good enough to be able to explain what I would like, and I don't want to ruin it before I go back home.
Just take a picture, dude, and point.
Yeah, but yeah, I know. I have people to be impressing, and I can't be looking not good.
I mean, surely there has to be someone locally that knows English, and you can get a
Nah, there would be. There would be. It's just not worth the risk. So it's not that long at the moment. It's alright. We'll keep going.
Dude, they make most of like the hair care products, like Braun and all that stuff. Like German manufacturing and engineering is top tier, so you'd have to imagine that they can use the kits as well. Speaking of top tier, Batrider coming through. Well, look at that segue coming through for 1W. It feels pretty good, right? Again, I just want ways to find this freaking Lich, because you do so much in these team fights. And you only... It's kind of like what I liked about Venomancer Pos 5 previously. You only need like a second and a half to be able to have a massive impact in team fights. You throw the Frost Shield out, you throw your Ice Spire out, you throw your Chain Frost, you're done, you know? And if you can even just force an earlier BKB because you're scared of the Sinister Gaze, even better. So it's the sort of thing where you kind of need to burst him down 100-0. Batrider, one of the better heroes to enable that sort of thing. Like, do you now... Spectre is the consideration for me. Not a big CM fan, if I'm being honest. We talk about those heroes that fall off an absolute cliff once you get past the, let's say, 30-minute mark. CM, to me, is towards the front of that list. Like, you have nothing that's going to go through BKB, you have no escapes for yourself, you have not a significant amount of burst damage, and once the enemies have BKB, the slows really don't matter. So... it's a rough one to have to go into. Maybe, again, they're just trying to force one move to go into this Axes build on the Beastmaster, just prevent him from having any sort of Boar or Hawk potential, because one thing that CM is great at is controlling a lot of these summons.
And I guess early on with the Frostbite, honestly, it is still can be frustrating for a lot of the mobile heroes to play into. But like you said, that changes through the later stages when you're able to get some items to play into. We're going to get a Weaver early on from one move, which we see often if this hero is getting picked is when your carry pool is limited and in last, like the last phase overall. So I'm a little concerned that maybe it's
Could still be a 4.
maybe it can be punished. Okay, true. We did see chance to just play the lesser, I suppose so.
I like this puck pick a lot. I mean, Ember's going to have a pretty decent time against you in the lane, but prior to his BKB, punish, a way to be able to get onto the back lines again, to be able to kill this Lich. Can't just Shikuchi away. Silence as well, going to be really impactful. I mean, you just have to get a Dream Coil plus Flame Break, Dream Coil plus Skewer combination, and you've got a ton of damage to be able to start this out. But they need heavy physical damage with their last hero that they're going for, because this is good enough to be able to get you to that 25, 30-minute mark of the game. But beyond that, I have some concerns for 1W. You know, how are they going to be able to close the game out? How are they going to be able to hit towers super effectively? It feels like creeps are going to be doing the majority of the work, and I'm not the biggest fan of Bat Riders that don't go the stoked facet. If they're prioritizing, you know, doing building damage, sometimes it's just, it feels like it's only good at doing one thing, whereas stoked is good at everything. You know, you're always going to have some buffed up movement speed.
Can we look at some Deuce here for 1W?
There's the potential.
So,
What could they look to do if you did do so? I mean, I'm just looking at some Diffusal Blade heroes that still exist. I mean, they might even just Lion as well if you do so, right? You throw the Weaver into a pos 1, you go Lion 4, you have the Mana Drain, of course, against the Medusa, which feels nice. You have an additional form of stun against the Puck, against the Magnus as well, who might be going for these Blink Skewers. Yeah, for 1 move.
back up. The 1W band.
Ah. Well, there we go. And there goes the Medusa.
It's a good suggestion. Ran saying no like crazy PA, right? Don't want that hero.
I still think
Thinking of
Spectre's the
some,
pick
like-
for 1W. Spectre feels A-okay here to me.
I don't like the lane with CM Spectre, but I really like the game and the suggestion. I feel like it could be very frustrating for the Lich, for the Weaver.
Even Ember, right?
yeah,
like,
I
it
like
depends on how well you get into your Orchid timings. This is a great Orchid game for a
Yes,
Spectre
yes.
to be going this time around.
I would just be concerned about the lane though, and giving what I would think is probably a free lane to the Beastmaster.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. Like, you know how I feel about Beastmaster. Always good. So they actually ban out the Spectre. Wow, that's kind of crazy. And a Dawn coming through. So, okay. I mean, there is that follow-up damage to come through. How long does a lasso last? Is it 3 seconds? Because if so, as long as you're really on the mark, I think it's lasso 3 seconds at level 1. No, 2.25. So you probably still are going to be able to get off a bunch of spells in the duration of the lasso if you're looking to try and use Solar Guardian into it, right? Same sort of thing with the Weaver. You're going to have time to time-lapse off unless there's like a puck follow-up. So it really is a certain condition that needs to be reached, like Bat, Puck, and Dawnbreaker all together, finding these pickoffs. And I'm not sure how easy that's going to be. So is it going to be like, can you just Nyx? I wouldn't hate a Nyx here into the Dawn, feels pretty good. Into the Batrider, feels pretty good. Into the Puck, you just, Carapace the Orb, suddenly that's an additional stun. Very easy pickoff for the backlines as well. I would love a Nyx Assassin.
But the side lanes look a little weird. Are they gonna avoid? I feel like everything you're saying, I completely can agree with the Nyx Assassin. It's just like I feel like your side lanes look a little weird if you go Nyx. You have Lich Weaver, then Beast Nyx. I don't know how I feel that much about the Faceless Void though. I feel like this hero is, we saw it once in Western Europe, right? So that was, I don't know if I saw it once. I don't know if I was with you or Harry when I covered that game. No, it was with Harry because it was Parker playing it. Yes, it did win, but I think it won because of the individual play from Parker and also a lot of other reasons as well.
Okay. I am kind of in two minds about this. Like, they needed more lockdown for the puck, so I get that in that regard. But you're playing this into a Dawnbreaker, and it is a position 3 Dawnbreaker, so one that can afford to be going into the Aghanim Scepter. You've got, you know, a Magnus that's going to be able to go position 1 that can look to try and carry the game, and it's a pretty great response to the Chronosphere, right? Just ult on top of it, you stay up there, you have all of that evasion coming through. It does kind of, I don't want to say go back the other way, but it's answerable if you get into the MKB on the Faceless Void, so it really does feel like they're playing a little bit more for the late game with this pick, because the laning stage, I think, isn't going to go all that well. It does fit a little better in terms of what you were saying, like Lich being paired together with it feels kind of nice, but beyond that, I'm not so crazy about it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also not entirely feeling the Faceless Void will... Let's see if they're cooking something up. If it is going to get to that stage where we see the Faceless Void be the late game threat, like we know this hero to be, even though it's not very popular at the moment in the meta, in regards to late game, the hero hasn't particularly changed. So that is definitely something to look at. Overall, though, hopefully we get a little bit closer of a game as well between these two. 1W struggling, and again, backs against the wall. You're one game away of getting eliminated now. A team that we were not expecting to at least be in this position early on, even with a stand-in or a different mid laner. So we're going to have to see what adaptations they can make, what changes they can make, because this is it's do or die now, and it's going to be that way for the rest of the potential multiple days that they're going to have. So they will always be under pressure.
They will indeed. I'm just having a look at, like, to me, this was set up to be a horrible game for Crystal Maiden. You know, just getting dived on, nothing too much that you can do about it. But in the early-ish stages of the game, like a Faceless Void even, prior to getting Manta Style or BKB or whatever else, he's also vulnerable to the CM. As long as Respect's not getting caught in these chronos, Frostbite is going to have mega value going up against Ember, going up against Faceless Void, going up against Weaver. Like, yes, you can still get off the time lapse and all that, but it does control a lot of the damage that's going to be coming through. And what we were talking about in the laning stage as well. Despite that, Triple S has already leveled up the Call of the Wild Boar and Hawk, so it's not like these units are going to be given a free time in the lane. You might just end up feeding a bunch of experience over to the 1W side, and that is not what you need to get off to a good start.
The battle begins.
What is this? A game of some sort?
Sigma moment. Sigma moment.
So Munkushi as well, I'm assuming that he's going to go level 1 Shockwave just to be able to secure the range creeps. I thought maybe Respect might have chosen to level up the Frostbite just to deal with a Beastmaster Boar when it did get into the lane just then. Because you don't really need the Crystal Nova in this lane in particular, right? You've got a way to be able to secure those range creeps. If it was a CM Faceless Void, then you probably need to go your Q, just because there's no way for him to be able to easily secure that. Might still just end up going the Q, and might just need to be leveling it up to force them back, because it's an initial try lane to start things off.
Frostbite just nuked down that poor ball.
Yep. It's pretty damn quick. You deal 400 damage a second to non-ancient creeps. So, yeah. And that lasts for 1.5 seconds, so that is 600 damage.
Haven't seen this mid matchup in a while. The Puck and the Ember. No, before the Orb Corrosion, right, we would often say the Ember has a pretty decent lane with the slide spam. What facet did he go as well? Was it the chain gain or the... Oh, bottom, Rhine. Nice flame break. Should be able to find first blood. It's going to be sweet and strong. And this is something we didn't see from the previous game, right? I don't think Cloud really... well, no, Cloud honestly didn't have the best lane. It wasn't a bad lane, but we saw in all 3 games on day 1, Sweet and Strong and Cloud, that was the duo that was always consistent. Top lane Respect, he's going to be chased down. Looks like Beastmaster does commit for the kill and is not going to be punished for that. Thought maybe Munkushi is going to have the damage to get a return kill, but not one move. Pretty quickly strike back and even get a pull as well.
He had the mana to be able to turn around and Frostbite, but just the damage coming through from this Weaver at level 2 was a little bit too much to deal with. Janta is going to look to try and keep piling that pressure on as much as possible. I'm still expecting this mid lane to go quite well for Warwick. Like, he's got the Blightstone coming out right now, realizing that that's the main priority for himself. Just keep pressure onto dual raise. Of course, with that double impact, he's going to be able to get even more damage going into the puck, but he's eating a fair few illusory orbs at this point in time, so something that he doesn't want to just keep giving up free damage to the puck.
In regards to the item build from the Weebo, do you have a preference this game? Because I think the best qualities of this hero, especially as a support, is how versatile you can be in the items.
So he's actually chosen to go for an Orchid as his first item, which makes a lot of sense. Nice movements by Janta as well, making sure that they're able to keep the pressure onto Munkushi, and it's another lane that might not be going so great.
Ah,
The Hawk hitting the wrong target, but still lots of pressure being applied to this Magnus. Forced him, didn't actually use the Lotus previously, so he's still going to have it to be able to protect himself in this scary lane. Expecting just a 1-1-1 build coming out from Respect, because it's getting to the stage where Munkushi just needs to be spamming out the Shockwave pretty much on cooldown to force them to start using more spells defensively. Start playing this lane a little bit more on the back foot with Triple S.
dude, the Ember is destroying the puck mid.
Yep.
I think Bennett deny, another melee deny out of the tower. This is looking like a very good start. Mid, top, bottom. We see it's a different story though. The Faceless Void struggling a little bit versus Cloud, 2 points Celestial Hammer. A lot of stats early on for the Dawnbreaker. They have left him alone, which I don't know if I like a whole lot. We need to see them convert. Munkushi is going to be chased down. Briner with the backline stab. They're going to get the kill onto Respect. Munkushi are not going to be able to get the skewer away because they were holding the Sinister's gaze. He does have the Lotus at least to use, but it doesn't matter. Triple S is going to be fine. They've got the creeps to take the tower. Great rotation from Briner in the end. I was concerned that maybe the Faceless Void would be vulnerable, but we saw that, importantly, Woe was making sure he positioned himself accordingly.
Yeah, and just repositioning the creep wave right in front of the courier as well, as he gets a courier snipe as well. I mean, things are just going from bad to worse for Munkushi. He has nothing to be able to farm with. He's underleveled at this point in time. Constant pressure being put onto him, and he's just forced to... Hold on. Respect, is he going to be okay?
No, I don't think they are. Okay, they're going to TP Sweden strong.
Should still be a dead
will be
CM,
chased
though.
down with over the bugs. They haven't dealt with it just yet. Is the Beastmaster going to come on over? Looks like he will not. So it's going to be a 1-for-1. Have to TP Sweden strong to top, which will now leave the Faceless Void in 1v1. We'll see if he's going to be able to manage that.
I mean, if I'm Woe, I'd much prefer this sort of situation. Like, yes, you're not going to win the lane against the Dawnbreaker, but you'd much rather it be a 1v1 situation where at least you're getting experience. At least you're occasionally securing the important creeps, whether it be ranged or flag bearer. So, a Batrider not being in the lane is going to be a bit of a sigh of relief for him as he works his way towards that Morbid Mask to potentially have a little bit more of that farm sustain for himself. Going to prioritize the Lotus pool, but Cloud making sure that that does not happen.
Honestly, wouldn't mind seeing them force an issue now with the Arcane Rune Weeb. I know he's low levels, but
Mid lane,
we already see how strong this hero can be mid lane.
just hit level 6
Coil
on
out the
Warwick.
silence. Warwick, he's going to be fine. Range drops one, protecting himself. Bottom lane now, Cloud. In some trouble, time dilation's going to be there. Tries to get the Celestial Hammer for some distance away, but Woe's going to be able to pursue him down. Bash is not required with the Sinister Gaze held from Reiner. That's a massive kill, dude. That was the lane that was going incredibly well for 1W. Meanwhile, Janta looking for the kill over onto Respect. Janta has committed a little bit too far forward, but with the help of the boars is going to find an even trade, I suppose.
Yeah, you get something out of it, and again, it's just all about trying to slow down Munkushi as much as possible. The item build is pretty much exactly mirrored between him and Faceless Void right now. just looking to try and get into that Mask of Madness. There's not much that farm is up
Up
here.
top lane. Skewer back into the double supports playing nearby. He could use the roar as well for the movement speed, but Swedenstrong's Flame Break instantly nullifies that escape avenue. And they're going to be able to get the Helm Dom creep as well. So a big swing of gold over to 1W. We might see bottom as well. The Chrono now come into play. Cloud, yeah, he's going to be on the edge. And both these ranged supports going to be able to pump in that damage required. Cloud, he's got the ultimate. Let's see if he can get the Celestial Hammer into Solar Guardian out. They'll use one stun. He's not going to look for it by the looks of it. He just wants to try and, I guess, kill as many creeps as he can.
Are scanning.
Okay, not the worst start for one move though. Being able to get a few of these key kills. I'm honestly really surprised at how much net worth Triple S has. Like, he hasn't put a single point into the Wild Axes when they need to be putting a bunch of pressure on from afar, and you were against a Crystal Maiden. Like, if I'm a Respect, I'm just using that Frostbite on every single boar that I can, and he's going to do it onto the Centaur Conqueror. This is what I was expecting to have happened all throughout the lane. Just prevent Beastmaster from getting anything. The Helm of the Dominator creep and the boars give a ton of experience, so it's the sort of thing where you can set yourself up for future success by just having 1 point Crystal Nova, maybe 2 points Frostbite, and then just spam out that Arcane Aura so that all of your heroes just have so much potential to spam spells, pick up a lot of that farm, and make it so that the Beastmaster isn't able to progress into a bit more of this pushing. He's only 2,300 gold away from the Helm of the Overlord, so pretty decent timing already from him.
Yeah, very good timing. Super early timing, so... Continuing to farm up the Storm here from Triple S. And we'll see how they look to play around him afterwards. Meanwhile, Munkushi's gone for the Mask of Madness. And backsliding power should be able to pick up a ridiculous amount of farm. We are yet to see a list our games we've been covering for the qualifiers this MLBB Flex to 1, but we know a lot of teams have been doing it. And meanwhile, we're going to get a smoke out of one move. Really need the Ember to get involved in this smoke because he is started to fall a little bit behind. As soon as the puck has hit that level 6, we saw the difficulty for the Ember, who does dodge the coil.
That's huge. Setting up the Flame Remnant beforehand. Actually going to continue trying to push on forward. Should be able to claim it.
Nice.
I mean, I was actually a little bit anxious about them going for this attempt, but if you're able to outplay like that with the amp damage, so much damage into all of these heroes, then it feels okay. Because you've got that that Dawn ultimate available. I was thinking that if they were looking to make any sort of play, it would once again be trying to find it onto Cloud.
Has he got Orchid queued up on Cloud? Did I see that right?
He does, yeah. But it's Weaver that's closer to being able to pick it up. Just going a straight rush after the Magic Wand.
I guess Orchid's an interesting decision. Top lane Munkushi. Starting to be surrounded from the duo supports. Rainer's going to be able to get the drag back, but there's the Solar Guardian instantly. One ulti for the next. Cloud and the rest of 1W were really ready for that. And as a result, they're going to be able to catch up to Rainer. Maybe looking for the deny. It's going to be pretty difficult to get it. Cloud slams him down with a hammer.
That's what I was expecting to happen anytime you're looking to make this sort of play. And the thing is, like, you didn't just get out of that scot-free. You might say, all right, well, we used our Solar Guardian. Maybe now they want to make a play around the Chronosphere because you don't have that potential option. So I wonder if they're looking to try and force the matter around this mid lane. Force them to try and defend, get 1W to commit a little bit further, and then just get the TP in on Woe and look to try and influence the team fight in that way. Instead, it seems like it's a lot more people playing around this bot lane. No ultimates on the supports quite yet, though, at the 11.5-minute mark. So will they have the damage?
They're going to try, but Puck's rotation might really be an issue for them. In fact, I think it cancelled. Time Walk over the top. Nice timing of the bash.
Probably would have been able to actually get that kill if Puck was turning around. And yeah, they're looking to actually prioritize Triple S, not wanting him to get away with this Helm of the Overlord. To slow down the timing as much as possible.
And they're going to know that they can make this deep dive because more than likely the sports had to TP down to bottom with where they were positioned before the attempt on the Dawnbreaker. I must say, I really wanted to see one move with the Chrono actually take a fight around the power room. I feel like you kill the Dawnbreaker, but you have to TP some supports down the bottom, and we saw what just happened as a result of that. You get an opposite kill on the offlaner. You then now it's a bit awkward for you to get back out on the map. You slow down the Helm of the Overlord timing. Felt like it
That's
just
why I
was
was
a bit
expecting them
forced
to
with
play
them
mid.
going down to his lane. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have ultimates on the supports either. Maybe if it was just the Lich, you're able to, use the Chain Frost to be able to do it. You don't necessarily need the Weaver there. But if you make a play around mid, I think they still actually had the Siege Creep alive at the time. So could have potentially pushed that into the tower, could have potentially gotten the pick off onto the puck while you had the Solar Guardian on cooldown. So it's a lot of stuff that just didn't end up eventuating because of the choice to move down onto bottom. Of course, it's important to control Cloud, but I feel like it's even more important to be trying to invade as regularly as possible into the 1W side of the map, especially considering you're only about 200 or so gold away from Triple S being able to pick up that that Helm of the Overlord.
That's such a crazy tip. Gets a D ward for the observer between the tier 1 tier 2 top, and just tips the Crucified. It's like, okay, cool.
Got an idea that Janta's coming in here. Will they use the
Janta.
RP? Alright,
They will. Let's see
take the
if
freebie.
Respect tips him back. That won't do that. Another person that I want to kind of touch on a little bit is this Batrider. We see Sweden Strong. I mean, it's still pretty early game here for the supports, but we saw, again, game 1 yesterday, this Batrider got really farmed. He's pretty decent, pretty good Batrider play to be able to take a lot of the aggressive farm out of the map and invade and even look to be able to get involved in some of the kills. So I'm wanting to see that pretty shortly, or over maybe 5-7 minutes or so for the Batrider. But that was a pivotal reason why they had success in game 1 yesterday versus 4 Pirates.
Absolutely, and it's the sort of thing where I want to see Sweden Strong just, again, picking up more of this farm for himself. He's looking to invade, only taking 1 camp away from the one move boys at this point in time with the Firefly. Still not maxed out, so it's going to be a little bit slower to be able to pick up a lot of that. I think he's going to get the majority of the gold off of these stacks, though. It's honestly getting to the point where, yes, Munkushi could look to farm it, especially considering he doesn't have the RP for the next 50 seconds. Speaking of Munkushi, though, will be able to get away. I don't think you can afford to dive in this deep next to a tier 2 tower where there's multiple TP options and that Solar Guardian available.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Okay, bottom tower's going to go down by the looks of it. Munkushi. Sort the tier 2. Wall's going to be there. We got the Solar Guardian once again. Trading out the ultimate for the Chain Frost as soon as it bounced down. Uh-oh! They're all clumped up for the AoE damage over time, but the Silence over to the north and the Starbreaker almost enough to turn the fight back around. 1W, they've got their own combo, and they're going to be able to have this fight actually look pretty decent for them in the end.
That was a really good freezing field by Respect. Off to the side, just outside of the range of the Chronosphere. This is what we were talking about, right? Like, you kind of are leaving yourself to the wolves throughout that. Yeah, the most damage done in that team fight was the Crystal Maiden just by pressing R, essentially. And it was incredibly effective at just being able to hold them back. That Frostbite as well, limiting some of the damage coming through from the Faceless Void inside of that Chronosphere. And it's only going to get worse once the CM starts to get levels, right? Just level 1, so you don't have any opportunity to be able to get into a cast range item. You might get lucky enough with the Ring of the Vizier. And then level 15, extra 100 Frostbite cast range as well. So we'll see how Respect continues to play these future team fights, because I thought he could have potentially gotten more out of the lane and limited Triple S's farm, but for now, for this first big team fight, he's ticked all the boxes.
Yep. That he has and the rest of the team have as well. Feels like we will top lane, dual raise. Roy's going to be there, and he just, unless he gets a root like that, but I think he's going to be lacking some of the damage to Janta will look for the chase down, but it's not going to work out. This puck's going to be fine.
Optimistic, for sure. Maybe just forcing him back and they feel like they could take Roshan off the back of it. I wouldn't have hated just having even Lich on his own around, you know? The level 4 Frost Blast plus Sinister Gaze, probably enough to be able to pick off the puck without committing too heavily across the map. They're actually going to go for a rotation of their own with Cloud, Fresh Orchid, Respect moving through the one-move jungle. they're not really getting any objectives as a result, right? They're just sticking in the jungle, no pressure being put onto towers, but Kushi, he's got the Blink Dagger coming out, but they're not going to be able to get usage out of it around this first Roche.
I really like that the Beastmasters want to take the Aegis. I feel like the Faceless Void is going to be pretty much avoiding fights unless Chrono's ready. And the Beastmaster is that one that you're looking to kind of group around, control the tempo, and he's really the person you want to put your attention into. So I like this from one move, probably going to enable them to continue taking some aggressive fights. We see 1W even want to bring the pressure to the boys on Radiant, even without the Aegis advantage.
A little surprised that they're
Warwick
playing
down
on
at
this
the low
side.
ground. Jumped in, ready to go. Lasso's going to be there. They try and pop the flush field over to him. But the AoE control, they use everything for the Ember. It's just too much for them to handle. They do get the Chronosphere, Woe isolated the puck. And now may even be able to catch up to the respect. Mimo Cloud as well is stuck on the low ground. So yeah, you have to use everything for the Ember kill. But Warwick is more than happy with that. Soaking up the spells to be able to provide this space for the rest of the team to get a successful team fight.
And this is what I was talking about when they're engaging from the right-hand side of that team fight, right? Like, in my opinion, the better move would have been to come from the left, where they had some form of vision inside of the river. They knew that they were coming back from the Roche pit, so if they were quick enough, you would have been able to, you know, catch them off at the pass. And then if someone tries to retreat to the right-hand side, Respect had placed up a ward there as well, so it just feels like you kind of played into one move's area for no reason in particular. Like, there's no point in diving underneath the tier 1 tower when all the reinforcements could have come at any time.
Would you agree with the probability? I think it was 55 for one move. Is this where you would kind of put things as well at the moment at this stage?
What is
I mean, for all of its weaknesses, Faceless Void is still the strongest late game carry in the game. So yes, I think the fact that he's at the top of the net worth charts right now, he hasn't died a single time, 4-0 and 4, and you know, you're getting pretty decent value out of this Helm of the Overlord from Triple S. I would agree with how things are shaping up right now. I also like the fact that Lich is hanging around with him as well, so if anyone does show up, you've got that Chain Frost available in 7 seconds to be able to kill them. And someone needs to show up, otherwise this Helm of the Overlord is just going to start taking towers solo.
That it is. They are once again looking to try and position some of their heroes around the mid lane. Maybe just so Munkushi can get the tower, but the Glyph's going to prevent that. I do want to hopefully have an opportunity to stick onto the Faceless Void. It does still feel like for him this game to have success, I feel like he needs a lot of items though compared to someone like the Mag. Manto's required because of the Frostbite, the Stance from the Puck, and the Orchid. I think he needs a Linken's this game as well, potentially, because the Lasso and also then the Frostbite if the Manta's already been used. I don't know if you can go that defensive though, which is a bit of my concern. Maybe that's where the itemization from the supports can come into play to enable him to go a bit of a different route.
That's the big thing. I mean, Janta is the one that is going to be fulfilling that sort of role for him. I'm expecting an Aghanim Scepter to come through from this Weaver. I'm expecting either that Linken's or even a Lotus, just because the Lotus is going to be as effective as the Linken's at dealing with the Bat Rider in particular. And like you mentioned, that is the biggest priority. And of course, just Lich, he's going to be there with the Glimmer Cape already finished up. Going into the Shard next, because he wasn't lucky enough to get the Tormentor. But after that, I'm not sure I agree with the Solar Crest choice. I would be very happy for him to go into the Blink Dagger just so that he's always able to respond to any form of initiation that comes through onto his Faceless Void.
It is unfortunate for Rane that he didn't get the Shard, but I feel like you're pretty happy with the Weaver. Just because I'm looking at this here as net worth. I know it did just get inflated because of the Shard, but I think he's not farming as much as what I would like. Like, if you compare to the Bat Rider, Blink 4 stuff already with Philosopher's Stone, and he's just ducking into the top jungle and getting farm where the rest of the team, by the looks of it, don't want for 1W. And I want to see the Weaver cutting waves, and that's where I think the Shard comes into play because it enables that a bit more.
He's doing a little bit of it in the mid lane. Puck kind of doing it back into him, but the support's fulfilling the same role as an enemy core. You'd have to be pretty happy, and this is what can happen when you're, you know, just looking to be a little bit too greedy. Nice ward once again from Reiner, able to scout out where a lot of those stacks were being taken.
Respect is praying that there's still a wisdom. Maybe it's just going to drop some vision down around the ancient area. Age is about to expire as well, which is something to mention. 10 seconds, but I think I think they're pretty happy with one move, with what they got out of the Aegis. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the tier 2 tower going down up top is probably the biggest win for mine, considering, you know, where the Aegis was claimed previously. So it's going to be top, you know, guaranteed. And it just enables them, with their tier 1 tower still standing, full HP, by the way, just to contest that a whole lot more easily, even as that Radiant side. They've gotten zero value out of this Observer Ward, though, the Respect placed inside of their jungle, right? This is where I was really expecting them to be looking to make some ganks happen. But Kushi has a Blink Dagger, now the BKB, Batrider has a Blink Dagger, Puck has a Blink Dagger. But they haven't been able to get kills around this bottom side of the map, and I feel like that's the one area that they at least have a small amount of control around because they've taken tier 1 mid, because they've taken tier 1.
Oh, this smoke's good. This smoke's good. They know they just took the Tormentor, so more than likely the Dawn playing away from the team.
Found him.
And that's where the Raw, it's going to come into play. Warwick tips Janta as well. And they are feeling themselves right now. I don't know if Janta was the one that made the call, but it was a very good call if that was the case. And you can maybe send some of the summons up on the high ground to force the TPs back.
Sure, why not? They've got the Ancient Rumble Hide doing it just to increase attack speed for everyone standing around him.
Whoa. Oh, might see Raise in a second. Gonna get the coil over, but the rest of the team's a little bit away for the Faceless Void. He doesn't know this at the moment, but the coil has now expired, and an opportunity for them to force the fight with the Dawnbreaker. Still dead for another 15 seconds, but they've got to do it quick, though.
Nicely done by Janta, just playing in the tree line, dropping the Sentry Ward when they went for that retreat. Feeling like they want to just get this quick freebie. Again, the Orchid is the form of initiation that you're hoping for, and Kushi, I mean, they're playing in no man's land right now as they get a quick glimpse of him. Doesn't seem like it, hiding perfectly behind the tree.
They stay swinging strong. Faceless Void doesn't make it to the higher ground. Time dilation's there. Maybe the Ember's going to be able to keep up. Remnant seems like it is lacking for him. So, no one. Well, I mean, we did get the kill that very early on to the Dawnbreaker. While we're still hunting the Bat, I don't know if he saw that he doesn't have a TP. I'm guessing he doesn't. Time wasted, though.
TP back up in 8 seconds, so he's very happy to be able to claim that. And dissimilar to what 1W are doing, One Move are actually looking to play around their vision, right? Like, there's a lot of information up top because of the fact that this lane is continuously pushing in. They're not able to respond to it. This Observer Ward placed down by Janta on the high ground is going to enable either this top tier 3 push without the glyph, by the way, or, you know, just mid tier 2 if you're feeling a little antsy about how things are going. I do want to see Woe look to try and join in with the rest of the team, though. I don't think this is the sort of area that he should be farming all the way back inside of his ancient camp area.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I very much agree. Tower's going to be under siege, though. No TP's back just yet. It's going to be the walk. Janta is sieging. Okay.
Sure. I mean, I guess that's the added benefit for Woe, right? He knows that they are absolutely not going to be able to kill him as he sees a quick glimpse of Swedenstrong. Is he actually going to commit the chrono for this?
I hope not with Roshan up.
You'll see the TP back, though, and he'll be right in position to be able to scout out that Roshan. So, no Batrider, going to be hanging around. Do they have a smoke on the 1W side to be able to contest this? Respect, he's just checking for a high ground ward, and then I assume, I mean, they're going to need the movement speed just to be able to get to Roshan quickly enough.
They need the Helm creep, though. Taking a little bit long for the Beastmaster to get one and then also connect with the team. There's also an amp damage inside the river. I thought they were going to start to move towards top knowing with the Roche respawn, but they haven't done it just yet. Luckily for them, though, One Move still haven't gone into the pit.
It's always the case when you've got these really scary teamfight ultimates, though, right? Chronosphere, RP, Lasso, Dream Coil. It's a lot to have to fight up into. I'm really... My eyes are on dual race. Like, this is really slow movement coming through from 1W, right? They're not going to be able to get there in time. They're kind of split up as well, so even if they ran into people, Warwick is actually going to be there to pop, perhaps?
Pop runs straight into the miss. He got a Remnant already placed down, but the BKB is going to be there for the RP response to the physical damage. Makushi, instant buyback out of the Ember Spirit's going to look to reach over the tier 1 tower and 1W. Should just attempt to cut their losses, but the Raw Triple S has held the puck into place. Phase shift last second, anything to stop the disengage, they're gonna get him. So, but both mid laners going down, but of course, Warwick does buy back there, which is really going to be a big loss in regards to the economy for the Ember.
Yeah, but look at this though. Sweden Strong is just cutting the wave, so they need to do their best to protect this top wave. How long on the glyph? Still a minute away, so this is really good news for One Move, just to continue pushing on forward. They're holding on to the Roshan's banner as well on Janta, placing it down, making sure that they're able to ensure this lane. I'm not sure if they actually needed that Roche banner for that, but I suppose tier 2 tower is still left standing in the mid lane, so it's not like they were going to be claiming it anytime soon. Respect is dead. Unless...
That he is indeed. Brian is there. So I feel like does his role in a way. Buy some time. I think the full set of barracks was going to go down anyway. And now it's going to be the park up and the respawn. T2 tower should be able to get Munkushi. Also has the wisdom level 20 for him. So he's got that talent look to work with. That was still very even. And we did see what the Magnus was able to do with last team fight through one RP. Like, the damage is very high.
They see him.
Not for it.
He doesn't, like, he's just got the BKB available.
Lasso is going to come through. At least he does get the BKB the roll this time. That's the different factor. Stopping the Magnus damage to be able to keep Warwick alive and able to turn around. They have caught Cloud. Oh, Warwick's question marking. This game's far from over and you are dropping question marks in an elimination game.
Yeah, and it gets it right back, but honestly, a little understandable. The triple question mark coming through there. I mean, doesn't have buyback, doesn't have BKB now, popping it when he was on about 10% HP, and this is the difference between playing around the
Alright, get the
supports
translator out.
Alright,
Get the translator out.
Jan to the legend. I agree
Jan
with
to
Warwick.
the legend.
I mean, he was tipping him last game when he was able to make that Leshrac position 5 work, right? So this is the sort of thing where clearly a lot of respect being given over from the mid laner.
30 seconds till the mag is alive. RP is going to be at the ready off the back of the respawn. Up the high ground they go. Which is going to make it a little bit more difficult for them. The spam of spells is annoying too. Always got to keep in mind about the lasso, but that is still on cooldown.
And they don't have the follow-up damage as well until the Magnus is alive. That's why they were able to stick around and potentially just use these creeps to be able to take the ranged Grax as well. He's just like Janta's all chatting, basically, is what that translated to.
Okay. So not spicy. Boring.
Not too
Not
spicy.
Kushi? Let's see. What is the man up to?
Unless you want to just
Running
make
outside
up
the...
what it actually was saying. Why is this trash can all chatting?
Nice scan from Radiant. Oh, they're starting to click right now. Sweden Strong tries to get the jump. The last one's going to be there, but Solar guard him. Everything used, but the scepter from Janta. Give the man the tip, because now they're going to be in. Warwick and co onto Munkushi. RP not available. Munkushi, he's going to be isolated inside the river. They took up the Chronosphere before he's going to be able to keep up to them. And Warwick, he is in pursuit, but the Chain Frost bouncing back against the creeps. Sweet and Strong
well.
ain't going to make this one away with a bash on that jump in. Where the voice lines will continue to fly out with another successful team fight from One Move. And what a time lapse from the Weaver.
Was indeed once again onto the man, giving him all of the praise. Must be just be out of tips right now, because that was by far the most warranted of Warwick saying thank you very much to Janta, who just all chats sorry after all of that coming through, because at the end of the day there's bans, but you don't want to knock your friends out of tournaments. But that seems like that might be the reality here, with One Move, just one barracks away from being able to close this one out with mega creeps. Surely, okay, game crash, Weaver lag. This is not a BM pause coming through.
Yes, not a BM pause.
Absolutely not.
Ready to go, and he did not DC.
FPS
game
lag,
crash.
Not,
Ah.
it happens.
My friend, this is Megas.
Yeah.
And they do not have a very good Magus lineup, and they still have current. They've got pretty much every ultimate but Chain Frost. They're not leaving the base. No Aegis though.
It's going to need to be a Dream Coil into a Skewer back into the Fountain into an RP for them to have any chances here. And it's probably going to need to take...
We've got to keep... Whoa. Alright, there's the Chrono. Clipping on two of the cores. Triple S is going to be outskirts as well to hold the puck down. No buyback on two of these heroes. There's the last stop of the timelines. Instantly in response, and the Chain Frost, it tries to split away from Nkushi. It'll end now on Respect, but the team, the 1 seed, heading into the closed qualifiers, even with a stand-in, even with a different mid laner, you would have expected something different, but they're going to be the first team knocked out of the hunt to play at the FISSURE Playground 1 LAN in Serbia. That is a massive upset from yesterday and today.
Incredible. Like, this is the sort of thing that we were not expecting to see for probably another 2 days minimum. You know, like one of these two teams being eliminated, let alone, you know, being one win, right? Like, they are the ones that, as you said, well worthy of being the #1 seed coming through into these qualifiers, and they did not look like it. You know, they seemed like a team disjointed. They seemed like a team that didn't necessarily understand what they were wanting to prioritize in the laning stage. And, you know, when they get thrown a curveball, which both games, honestly, it felt like it was Janta's hero, right? Going for the Weaver, joining together with a few of these gank attempts, and even just the Faceless Void to be able to finish things up into the Dawnbreaker, but it didn't feel like it mattered at all. I didn't think we saw a single use of the Solar Guardian into the Chronosphere, so it just meant that Woe was able to get a crazy amount of farm, and B, wasn't being nullified by this Dawnbreaker at all.
Yeah, like, I didn't mind the Solar Guardians though, because you were using against the rule, right? But then, like you said,
it sets up
you
for
have
Chrono.
one big ultimate, and then it sets up for the Chrono, which can be the nice thing about this hero. Like, yeah, it could be counter, but also it could just be a big setup, and that's what was the case to him. Woe 7, 0, and 9. I feel like the Ember Spirit in particular is something we need to continue to pay attention to for Warwick as well. I mean, Grandmaster, very comfortable in the hero, so through their further games here from One Move, we'll see where his heroes are going to be. Triple S, I think, had a pretty good series as a whole as well. With the Magnus game 1, there were some slip-ups, but I felt like in a lot of the team fights and just overall map play, I thought he was very solid. This game as well, I think, had a very good Beastmaster. I think just overall did his role again, got the boys over the finish line. And it's a good showing for One Move, much better than what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, what about that haircut from Triple S? Are you going to show that one to the barber and just say, you know, just give me one of these, give me the game-winning hair? But you never know. I think you could make it work.
I could try, see what the barber says. I'm sure he's feeling over the moon now on Triple S and One Move as well. But it's a long road home. It is a long road home, but you are able to take down one of the favorites. And honestly, I'm going to say the other teams that are in these qualifiers have to be feeling pretty happy the fact that they didn't go up against 1W, or they went up against them in the early days where they weren't able to fix some of these issues. I don't know what really is going on for them, how big it is with Chira Jr. not there, and if the draft is different, is the gameplay different? Some things must be different, and we're seeing that be the case in the results. But honestly, you would say the teams that are behind them, Chimera, Liga, 9 Pandas. We'll see if there can be a run for some of the other teams in the lower bracket, but you're really happy that probably your toughest opponent got eliminated and you didn't even have to verse him. So this is going to be some exciting stuff here with already an upset in the closed qualifiers here for Eastern Europe. We're done for our first series, but still we have a long way home here for day 2. Next up, we're going to be sticking around another team potentially eliminated. We got Namiga taking on Hydra. We'll see you guys shortly after a break.